Warning, the following program contains scenes of graphic stupidity between a man and some gays. Don't take anything I say too serious, I'm just messing around. This video should not be viewed by anyone.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Scum News, the show where we take a look at sneak peeks, upcoming features, items, and other thingamajigs that are going to be added into the game. Now today we are going to talk about a new danger that will be making its way into the game, and that is of course diseases. We have a little bit of reading to do upon this new threat, so I hope you enjoy today's podcast. But without further ado, let's jump in and see what the devs have in store for us when it comes to diseases. Alright, bacterial infections. They can happen with open wounds but can also affect the entire body. Whether bacterial infections will occur and how it will be treated, that depends on several factors. One of which being the immune system. Now the immune system, it dictates how resistant a player's character is to getting an infection at all. The immune system is defined by the Constitution attribute value in a way that Constitution 1 defines the worst kind of immune system, and Constitution 5 that will define the best immune system characters can have. Now depending on these values, a character's immune system can prevent the spread of these microorganisms through the wound. As long as the immune system works properly, the wound will never get infected. However, this also depends on the influx of the microorganism. If the wound is too big, the immune system will not be strong enough to keep the infection away. Now when it comes to the size of the wound, depending on said size, the microorganisms will be able to spread into the body easily, and the body will have problems keeping the wound uninfected. However, as long as the wound is not in contact with dirty materials, dirty clothes, dirty rags, or any other type of unsterilized equipment, the infection will most likely not happen. But players will have a hard time stopping bleeding without messing up with the wound at some level. For example, a player equipped with dirty clothes will get the infection much easier than a player without clothes on. Okay? Alright. So one chance to avoid getting infected will be by removing any kind of dirt that comes in contact with the wound. And now we don't have the injury recovery procedure, but it says that depending on this procedure, we can see the chances of the infection depending on the bleeding type. So I'm guessing depending on what kind of bleed we have, C1, C2, C3 or C4, that's going to affect our chances of infection as well. Now when it comes to stopping the bleeding can be stopped with the following items, and we know this with rags and band-aids and whatnot. Now the condition of the item, it will affect the chance of infection, so it's going to depend on the condition of the item that we use to treat ourselves. For example, dirty rags are the worst thing you can use to stop a bleeding, but even the clean rags that have low durability can cause infections. Fully sterilized bandages are the best option. And again, we will have more info on this with the injury recovery procedure, which we do not have on us today, but hopefully we'll have that as well soon. Because it looks to be quite in depth like everything else. And one cool thing that I've seen here as well is that another way of stopping the bleeding is by stitching the wound. So we're gonna have a new feature as well, and that is stitching our wounds. Now the medical skill, right now it doesn't really affect us, but it seems like that's going to change. Now the medical skill is an important factor in stopping an infection from happening. Skilled medics have bonuses that reduce the chance of getting the infection, and we're gonna have more information on this with the skill bonuses section, which we do not have on us today. So we're missing a couple of things. These are just kind of a couple of sneak peeks. And one final thing that we have is medicine. Now meds like antibiotics can be used to successfully fight an ongoing infection. Now depending on the stage of the infection, the antibiotics will have to be used for longer periods. Days. Some other days? This is gonna go on for days. Alright, it's quite something else. Some other meds can be used to fight the infection as well, like vitamins that can temporarily build up the basic resistance defined by our constitution. Or anti-inflammatory drugs that can be used to lower the body's temperature caused by said infection. Again, more about these things will come with a different piece of information, additional healing drugs and supplements. Some drugs like the Phoenix Tears will stop the infection almost immediately and put the wound into the stabilization phase, so the Phoenix Tears are still going to be the best healing item in this here video game. It's not only gonna stop our bleeds, but it can also just put an end to any and all infections. And there you go, this is all the info that we have on diseases with bacterial infections. I'm sure it's gonna be more. As we've seen here, there is injury recovery process and the stitching, so we'll probably have more info on this. This is just kind of a first draft that I thought was quite interesting, and I wanted to share it with you guys as well. But there you go, that's about it for right now. In Scum, diseases are coming. We've known this for quite some time now, but we haven't seen a lot of info on it. But here it is, we have a sneak peek of it. But that is about it for right now. I hope everybody enjoyed the news. In case you did, be sure to drop some stuff and things down below. Make sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for taking the time and hanging out, and I will see you in the next one with some more video games.